We're always muted. I gotta figure out a way to like not have us muted. Okay, well, let's get going. I'm gonna do the intro now. You ready, Josh? I'm gonna toss you.
I'm nervous because I've been the what do we say? I've been a guest on here many times, but I've never been an actual co-conspirator.
It's going to be a lot of conspiracy happening on this episode. Yeah, conspiracy. We're talking live service games. There's a lot of conspiracy around those. Welcome to JK Games, the game podcast where we bring you the gaming news we care about.
And maybe some that we don't.
Whether you play on easy mode.
Or if you like a good challenge.
This is a show we'll try to level up your gaming knowledge. I don't have any cool lighting effects. Hello. That's as much as I can do. Josh, I didn't know you were going to do that. And
I know.
Totally.
I was hoping I would mess you up.
You didn't mess me up, but I was like, I really just want to watch this and see how far.
So for the listeners, maybe just pop in on, the VOD on YouTube. Check it out. See what you're missing.
Yeah, that was something that you can only look at. You can't hear it to understand it. If you haven't noticed, Kayla's not here. High Score Weekly, aka Josh, aka the Nintendo expert, aka the Final Fantasy guru man, aka the tea maker, aka Candyman, and there's many other things I could add to your title. He wears a lot of hats, and always a delight to talk to and just to see what you're into, what games you're playing. You have other endeavors that you're diving into that I'm really excited to talk to you about, whatever you can share. But yeah, I'm Jerica. I'm one of the hosts, and yes, we are joined today by Josh.
Yes, thank you for having me. I've been on here many times over the years, mostly to yap about Nintendo and Final Fantasy, as Jerica mentioned. But I'm really, as she said, now I've got this High Score Weekly channel. Used to stream a lot of Twitch under something else.
Yeah, did you know he's High Score Weekly?
Yeah. Ooh,
I thought he was using it as a secret identity, and I was like, do you want people to know who you actually are?
That's just my project. So it's a video game music project. High Score is like it's a play on words.
It's beautiful
music. It's soft launch. We'll talk about it later in the plugs section. But essentially, I'm just glad this is my first co-host spot. So I'm grateful to you and Kayla to be on the bench, so to speak, the JK Games bench. We got the merch repping. My uniform.
Yeah, Josh is one of 4 people that has JK Games merch. Yeah, Greg Miller, Josh Langley, me, and Kayla.
Wow.
We're here. And, there's more to come with that. We're working on it. So I can't wait to share more with the world with the JK Games merch. I'm going to do
thanks for having me on. Glad to be here with all of you. Thanks for everyone to joining us early. And, you're in for a treat.
Yeah, Friendship says the big 4. Yep. It's pretty much, if you see those 4 coming at you, it's the end of the world. Revelations is about to begin. 4 horsemen. I think that's what I'm trying to make a joke about. But they all have to be wearing JK Games swag at once, showing up at your doorstep. I'm going to do Kayla's bit. She normally does housekeeping. You're going to see why she normally does it, because I'm just going to read off the sheet so I don't forget anything. Hey, this is JK Games Podcast. We talk about video games, music, movies, and maybe today a little bit about music, hopefully. I don't know. Josh, you have any music to talk about?
Oh, we could talk about music if you want to,
Oh, he's ready.
I'm ready. I'm always ready to yap. Drop of a dime.
I'm so glad, because I just set us up to talk about music at some point. So I challenge you to talk about music at some point.
Sure.
That makes sense here. Yeah. Okay. All right. But yes, we organize our episodes into 3 different modes. Easy mode, where we talk about what we've been playing. Normal mode, news of the week. And of course, expert mode, which today our main topic is talking all about live service games and sort of like, where do they fit currently in the industry? We've had a lot of failures. We've had a lot of successes. We have the same old game still having the same number of players. And then you have Destiny. that I don't know what's happening, but why the hell do I keep playing it? There's too much of the same thing happening. But I digress. But that's going to be our expert mode today, so I can't wait to get into that with Josh. We have a few games in common that we've played, and some that each of us haven't. So stay tuned for expert mode to hear all about that. If you didn't know, also, we launched another podcast with our friends, Drop In, Drop Out. If you haven't had a chance to take a look at that content, you should. The easiest place to find Drop In, Drop Out is dropindropoutpod.com. Dropindropoutpod.com. Say that 10 times fast. We got a few episodes up there. The last one was my first ever episode hosting, Josh. And
I watched
it was... Oh, yeah,
I
you were
loved it.
there.
It was elaborate. Not to say your jokes are stupid, but I will say my
No,
sense
they
of
are.
humor is kind of like lowbrow. I like kind of like, you just have to tune
Josh.
in and watch her hosting a Pokemon scene that you made with like the Last of Us game attacking Jake Twitchin. This is exactly my kind of humor.
So
I appreciate
sometimes
it.
my jokes land, sometimes they don't.
Yeah.
I'm glad that one landed, but also
Oh, yeah.
I just tell dumb jokes, and sometimes I just say jokes to say titties, and I always feel bad saying titties in front of Josh, but that's just the work he signed up for. Here I go. How many episodes can I go without saying titties? Not many. But yeah, it was a good time. We basically broke down like how could we fix Pokemon, like with the next game, like what do we want to do to make Pokemon games fun again? Because they're not. I haven't enjoyed a Pokemon game in a long time, like a mainline game. I'm not talking Pokemon Snap. I enjoyed that. That was fun. Not talking about the little dungeon Pokemon games. Those are cool. I'm talking about the main games that they keep selling me. And I buy them and then I play it. I'm like, this is so boring. But I am also just a weird person. And the Pokemon card game that's on my phone is phenomenal, though.
Yeah, I still play that. At least, like, I don't battle as much right now because the meta keeps changing when they release new packs. But, I'm still cracking packs, of course.
Yes, and the
packs every day.
New boosters just came out.
Yeah,
new. What they call them? A new theme, a new pack, new pack.
New pack.
There we go. So I hop back in to get some new cards. And then we have, I'm just rambling. This is why Kayla does it. I'm going to stick to the script. Also, we are about to announce that Clickerbait Season 2 is going to be starting up soon. And it's going to be before The Last of Us Season 2 starts on April 13th. I think that is the first episode is airing. We haven't landed yet on the date that we will be starting Clickerbait back up. But when we do, you'll hear from us. We're going to have a couple of episodes before The Last of Us Season 2, Part 2, whatever that show's called, starts up. We're going to have a couple episodes to revisit Season 1 and talk about, what do we expect from Season 2? What do we hope happens? What do we hope maybe they change? And yeah, just speculate where they could be taking the second game. Because, I don't know if you know this, Josh, but they've said this might be 4 seasons just to tell the whole story of Part 2.
I didn't see that they had actually said that, but we've talked about this before previously, that it seems like a lot to pack in for, I actually like the idea of telling it a little bit differently than the game did. Because I think I could just play the game if I want to see that again. So I like telling different stories, like how the first season was, but it's a lot. It's a long game. And so I was wondering how they would really pull it off. So I think they would need to. And actually, even if it takes a while and there's like maybe a little time skip or something and everyone needs to get a little older, like in age, it would actually work too. So
yeah. And I hope that's, I'm excited that they're doing that. I definitely didn't want it to be rushed. Because as soon as it's over, we're all just going to want the third game that, is rumored to be an idea.
Yeah.
At some point. Who knows? But yes, hopefully we get 4 seasons and then a new game comes out around that time. Be great. But more news on that soon. Should have that the date for us to start that should be hopefully live this week, at the end of this week, with that announcement. But yeah, Patrick's going to be joining us for that. Super excited to have him join the squad of clicker babies. That's what we're calling ourselves.
That's what you're calling it.
Yep. Okay. But yeah, I think that's all the need to know for housekeeping. We did the loadout. We didn't suit up like we normally do. That's Kayla's job. I don't want to do that. I don't want to take that job from her because she does it really well. So yeah, now that we're into it, people know who you are. Good to see you again. I'm sure a lot of people are like, "Oh my god, I'm so glad that guy's back." The
Final
guy
Fantasy
that
guy.
the Final Fantasy guy's back. But I actually want to know too. What have you been playing? Let's dive into easy mode.
All right, easy mode. Well, Jerica, uh, you know, as much as I've been on here, it's sometimes embarrassing because a lot of times, like when it gets to this part and you ask when I'm playing, I usually just say Final Fantasy 14,
Well, I usually say Destiny,
and you
so
just say
there's no
Destiny. So,
judgment.
like, what's the point of even easy mode?
It's different today, y'all. It's
I'm just
different.
joking. Yeah, it's different. So, yeah, it's different. I actually have been playing some things, some games, video games. Wow. Of course, I played some Civ 7 when that came out. I'm still not like fully caught up on the whole meta. I'm a casual player, so a lot of the discourse and stuff surrounding that, like, doesn't seem to affect me that much. I'm having a good time with what I've played so far. And of course, like you said, mentioning music,
Mhm.
part of my project too will be having kind of like like a Billboard chart of like music, video game music, right? That's part of it. And so I got to tell you, the Civ 7 soundtrack, it's going to be hard to beat this year.
Okay.
So good.
What
Excellent.
make
It's always good. Civ
yeah,
5, Civ
what
6 had a good soundtrack too.
what makes it so good?
So it's the attention to detail.
Okay.
Um, this is done by like full, orchestra, and there's different civilizations represented in the game, and so they have very historically accurate, you know, whether it's vocals or instrumentation or compositions or arrangements. There's actually on their social media they have a um, little mini documentary of them meeting with some Native Americans for like drum circle stuff recording. They have some Native Hawaiian chanting recording. They have, Mongolian. It's just like this ultra high quality, like music representing cultures from around the world. And it's just like very, very good. It's good
So like
if you like that kind of music.
yeah, not only do they make a fun game that's historically like correct for the most part, I feel like it's like smart people play this game. I feel like,
Well, I think the game itself isn't necessarily historic because you can be like, you know, um, Harriet Tubman, in the ancient era. That's a little bit goofy, but
but I feel like they do enough
they
of their
do.
research
Yeah,
to like
they're looking at the cultures, and in the little
yeah.
Native American kind of clip, they show how like some of their units and buildings and structures and the stuff they do, like they really try to like represent that culture accurately for what they're trying to do. I mean, it is still taking a lot of creative liberty, is of course. Um, so I've been enjoying that, but I haven't really like played it like too hardcore or anything, just casually learning some of the new systems. Civilization's a game where I'll just hop on and just kind of play a little bit here and there, right? Like a little filler. So
Mhm.
I'll be playing this for years, just on and off. Um, and then, uh, of course, we both played Lost Records Bloom and Rage. We
Of
will
course.
save some of this. Hopefully, I can sneak on after tape 2
Yes.
for like a little deep dive.
Can't
But I
wait.
know Kayla wants to talk about it. So we won't really talk about this. And you talked about it a little bit last week, but I do
Mhm.
want to specifically say, um, just maybe around that game, I'm kind of obsessed with this game. It was incredible. I was so locked in. I actually haven't felt this excited about just a video game in a really long time. And it's kind of funny because it is this like slower pace, like slice of life sort of
Yeah.
kind of game. But let me tell you, like, what's his name? Jean-Luc Cano. He's the writer. He's the writer for Life is Strange 1, Life is Strange 2, and Lost Records Bloom and Rage. And I'm obsessed with him as a games writer. Jean-Luc Cano and Michel Coque, the director, the combo of them two, they did Life is Strange 1 and 2 and Lost Records. Um, I'm obsessed with it. And so I'll always, any game that they're putting out, I'm playing it. Let me tell you. Um, just the creative vision, you can tell like they're really intentional about the story they want to tell. And so I don't know. I think they did something really special with this. I can't wait to see tape 2.
I
Um,
know. I'm so bummed it got pushed, but
It's all
Uh,
right though.
it's
Give it a little
okay.
room to breathe.
Yeah, and I
Um,
taught last week just
yeah,
them deciding to delay it a little bit or like get or at least not delay it. I'm sorry, like break it in two parts. So I think at first it was going to be a full story, but they decided to do part one, part two specifically just for so people get to talk about it, go through their choices, and give it time to breathe and do what we're doing right now and just like what do you think about the ending? What choices did you make? Like
yeah,
as soon as me and Josh like saw each other again in real life
yeah.
recently, like we were comparing
We had like
um
pictures from our phones of like the
yeah,
little screen at the end. We were like, oh, look at this. What did
where
you
it
choose here? What
shows
did you choose
yeah,
here?
like were we with the majority here with different choices, and that stuff's always fun. So I can't wait to compare that with Kayla too. But yeah, it that was definitely a surprise. I knew it was going to probably be a good time. Um, but it's been a minute since those games has hooked me that hard. And I know like it's been a minute since this specific studio's done or went back to their roots to make a game like this. So, but yeah, I think they knocked out of the park. And I love being in the early 90s and just pretending to be back in my room and like seeing a lot
Yeah.
of the stuff I had growing up as a kid. Because usually, a lot of the content that's been surrounding this like this like vibe has been like 80s, right? 70s.
Yes,
And I'm like,
exactly.
and
You're
this is sort of like
so
when we were alive, when we were
exactly
kids.
what you're saying. Let me tell you, I finished tape one at like 1:30 a.m. I was just so like, oh, I can't stop, right?
Yeah.
And well, my camera just
Uh oh.
went crazy. It's like tracking me or something.
Cool.
Um, and I finished it at like 1:30 a.m. And immediately, I'm just telling you, I watched the credits roll. Immediately, I went onto YouTube and searched like interviews, and I was just like, I want to know more about like the production of this, because I tried to go into this pretty dark. Besides like the trailer, I didn't really want to like I didn't want to have too many expectations, so I
Yeah.
immediately was like devouring like interviews and what people said, and that's something. What you're saying about the '90s is something they specifically brought up because they literally mentioned that there's like Stranger Things and stuff, a lot of '80s stuff, and they wanted to focus on the '90s, but an idealized version of the '90s. And so I think it's so fascinating when you're in this warm, cozy, like they said, it's like how you remember it, but maybe not necessarily how it was exactly. And then you're kind of going back to like the present where things are more realistic and more like grounded. And
Yeah.
so I think they just did a really good job with that.
Yeah.
Don't
I
want to talk too
agree.
much about that, but yeah,
I know.
it's good. If anyone hasn't played, I think a lot of the chat they're saying they're into it, but
It's good. It's
check it
good.
out for sure. Um, Lastly, for my easy mode, I did want to spend a little bit of time talking about Wander Stop, and shout out to Cognitive Clips for reminding me that the demo came out yesterday.
Yeah, I didn't realize that. I'm gonna have to
Because
hop on
yeah,
myself. So I'm really excited about this
the demo
game.
came out yesterday. Let me explain Wander Stop. I don't know if you have any B-roll or something.
I do actually,
Hey,
but
hit
I
it while I'm
actually
yapping. Oh,
this might be the wrong type of video. It is because you can't hear
it's
it,
that
but
one with
there's
the
like an
interview.
official title track trailer. I guess with like focusing on the music, but you won't be able to hear it. But I like the background.
Well,
So,
speaking of that,
mm-hmm.
Wander Stop is made by Ivy Road, which is a new studio. And the studio is primarily like, there's of course a whole team involved, but the three founders of this new studio is Davey Reedon, which is the Stanley Parable guy. So good pedigree there. Carla Zimanja, which she did Gone Home, and she's one of the Fulbright founders with Steve Gaynor. So this is
Wow.
her new
Okay.
project with them. And
Yeah.
then, and lastly, in the three co-founders is C418, who is the composer most known for Minecraft. So he's part of the three founding members of this new studio. And so he did the music for this as well, which I was really like listening while I play this demo because I actually really follow him even outside of Minecraft. He has some solo albums that are really good. It's kind of like house music, like ambient
Yeah.
house music. And I actually like listened to his just normal work outside of Minecraft. And so when I
Yeah.
heard he was like a co-founder of this new studio, I was like, whoa, that's crazy. And this soundtrack so far, at least just listening to the demo, is really good because it has that kind of understated Minecraft feel to it, but also a really cozy, like not so synthy, like warm instruments, like almost like medieval style, like flutes and really warm toned instruments to it. So I'm really excited like to hear the full soundtrack when it comes out. But basically, she's showing some clips of Wander Stop now. Wander Stop, if you haven't heard of it, is a game essentially about making tea. But it also has a strong mental health focus. And Davey Reedon spoke about this in one of the trailers for this game, how, he made Stanley Parable and he was really like trying to make new projects and was struggling with his own mental health. And he was very open about this. And so he made this game where this protagonist is like, she's a warrior who is like the best at being a warrior, essentially, and puts all her time and effort into be a warrior, but she gets defeated and multiple times. And that defeat, it leaves her feeling like, what is she now? She doesn't know who she is because she thought she was a warrior. She thought she was the best. So she runs away and is trying to find like this god of war, essentially, to like train her.
Yeah.
And basically runs into this mysterious grove with this like strange proprietor of this tea shop who's trying to basically tell her like, hey, you need to basically just relax and heal yourself. And at the end, he's like, you can leave whenever you want, but she is unable to pick up her sword. It's like Excalibur or something. Like
Huh.
she can't pick it up. And he's like, as soon as you can pick it up, you can leave if you want. And so I just feel like this journey, obviously, like by the end of it, she's probably like going to realize something about herself. At least that's what it seems like they're doing.
Gosh.
The gameplay itself is very interesting.
Mhm.
I should note, here's like an interesting side note. I'm one of the only people in the world that can provide you this perspective, okay? Maybe
Oh my
literally.
gosh. Okay, here we go, y'all.
Because this is not a full plug, but
Plug it,
we're
plug
talking
it.
tea. Okay.
Oh.
So I am one of literally, there's like less than 10 people in the United States growing tea at a scale that we're doing. I have a tea farm. Me and my wife have a tea farm tea company. And so actually, when I heard about this game, I actually reached out to them to try to see about doing some kind of collab at whatever level, whether it was like press kit goodies or just like launch celebration goodies for their staff, or even like a more formal licensing kind of thing. Didn't hear back. It's okay though. I'm still gonna promote a game about drinking tea and making tea. I'm still gonna promote it, of course. And so I just think that like, as someone who grows tea and sells tea, I was so interested in this
We
game
need to clip
because,
this, and everybody in this chat, go tag them. Say,
where
hey,
else are you going to hear about this? So I'm
got
going to be
it.
doing more content around this game too, just because it's like so interesting to me that it is a fantasy game, of course. So it's not like super accurate as far as like the mechanics, but I think it's fun because mechanics of like planting things is sort of, it's, like Stardew Valley or Harvest Moon, you can plant different crops in rows
Yeah.
and water them. It's sort of like that, but depending on the pattern in which you plant them, it produces different kind of plants. And they have like a little field guide where you can look like a triangle pattern or a line pattern, and the plants will grow in different ways. You water them, you pick them, and then there's like a huge tea machine in the middle of the shop, and you have to literally get on a ladder and like kick the lever to release the water with your foot, and then spin the ladder to a different part to like release that. And it's like this big, like Willy Wonka looking tea machine that you have to operate. And different customers come in throughout the story and kind of express their problems. And you're basically doing like tea therapy on them and yourself, essentially. Um, and so I don't know. The demo is pretty short. It's only about 45 minutes. It basically teaches you the mechanics, and you don't really get to like the serving customers part in the demo. But just like Cognitive Clips in chat says, I think I said in the Discord, but the game punches you in the feels right in the opening cutscene. So yeah, there's a great opening cutscene that just explains her journey and her trauma, and she just has a lot of anger in herself, and it's kind of like you working through that. So very cool. If you like these kind of like cozy games, but it has a mental health twist, I definitely recommend it. And obviously it's about tea, so
It's like the perfect combo. And yeah,
cool.
just hearing that, Cog says, you just get punched in the face at the beginning. Perfect. That's what I want. I want to feel the pain. In most games, I just want to hurt, but I want to learn something about myself through this character's journey. So sounds like it's going to be a good
really
ride.
Good. I think it's relatable because like Davey was mentioning in his little interview, like this was all stemmed out of him feeling burnt out and like not knowing what to do. Like he's this game developer, but he's burnt out. Like, what does he do next? And this is the game that came out of it. And I think everyone can feel like that sometimes, especially if you're an adult. The kids can feel it too. But just being like burnt out and not knowing what to do and kind of examining your own identity. So I think this is a really cool game. It's on Steam. It's on PlayStation.
It comes out, I think,
It comes out on
Next
March
week?
11th, I believe.
Okay. Yeah. Cool. Yeah, I want to play this. You sold me, Josh. There was more I didn't know about it. I'm sold.
Maybe I can get in if they do a sequel or an expansion. I'm gonna try to sneak in there. Well, that's it for my easy mode. I yap a lot, so thanks for letting me yap. I'm curious to hear
a lot of good info. I'll definitely start with saying you've played more than me. I did play a little bit of Destiny, but don't worry, it's not my focus topic this week. I'm on to another live service game, and that game is Monster Hunter Wilds. That's and I can go ahead and say this: I don't know what the hell I'm doing.
I was gonna ask, have you played any Monster Hunter game before?
No, not for real. Okay. Like this is. I wanted to hop into Worlds. That's when I was actually gonna, I was wanting to be committed because based on what I was hearing, and the Destiny girl in me loves to team up with folks and take down baddies and get good loot. And when I was hearing people talk about this game, Worlds, and the experiences they were having with multiple people trying to take down these monsters, I was like, that sounds like the best time. But I feel like already, I started Worlds and I didn't stick with it because I didn't feel like I was getting onboarded as easily with Wilds. Yes, that's what I'm talking about right now. Wilds, I immediately just felt like the game was cradling me like a baby. It's like, come here, Jerica. We want to teach you how to play.
I can see that.
Game.
I played Worlds and I played the beta of Wild. So yeah, I would say the intro is a little more eases you into it a little bit better.
Yeah, and I can't remember if Wilds had a single player like story. Mm-hmm. Did it? It did? Okay.
Yeah, it does.
Well, if it did, I don't even remember what was going on, but this one immediately got my attention and is super interesting. So, and I don't know anything about these characters. The blacksmith is just what a beautiful woman. There's a lot of beautiful women, Josh. When I saw the boat and all the ladies on the boat, I was like, is this a pirate ship of lesbians hunting monsters? I don't know if it actually is.
Probably is for sure.
There's another lady that wow, just everyone's beautiful in this game, Josh. The RE engine, man, it's impressive. The game's gorgeous. I'm playing on PlayStation. Speaking of gorgeous things, I'm playing on PlayStation, and I was super interested to compare this. Like, with Lost Records, actually was having a really tough time.
Right.
With
you
playing
mentioned that in the last episode,
and more so, it seemed to be more stable on PlayStation. So I ended up going back to PlayStation and playing it there because PC was just it was worse. It was worse. And with this game, I was wondering the same thing. Like, I wonder how well this is going to play on PlayStation because I just want to play on PlayStation and I want to make this easy. And I'll say it runs like it's so impressive how well it runs because I'm able to do the uncapped. I want to favor frame rate so it's smooth as butter. I'm not having any glitches. I'm not having any stuttering. This game just boots up and goes. I'm having no technical issues, but apparently I was reading that PC folks are having some problems.
It seems like that's the case. I think this has happened before on another RE engine game, so I think their PC port of it just is a little glitchy.
Yeah,
but
and
I did play the beta and I actually didn't have any problems on mine. So, but it's you never know. Yeah, you never know though. You just depending on your setup, everything's different. So
yeah, but I haven't hopped in and played with anyone else because I only have played about 2.5 hours, maybe 3 now because I played like an hour today. Just haven't had time to play anymore. And every time I hop in there, like I'm going after a monster though, and I'm just following the story, just playing by myself right now, just so I can learn how to play. Because I will say this, if anything, this game is a little bit better at holding your hand for new people that are new to Monster Hunter. But the game UI information overload. And it was really hard for me initially to find like where my potions were. There's so many options. It can be overwhelming with like, how do you want to customize where your inventory is? The controls are completely customizable. You can basically map anything to anywhere. And on top of that, the controls to me, I'm used to a first person shooter. That's what I play a lot of. And just getting used to the controls and trying to figure out, I've been, using my bat paddles on this guy.
Yeah. Okay.
This is now I'm running with this one, but this is dodge because I kept just not wanting to hit X to roll for some reason. I keep wanting to, I think, hit circle. So like my brain's wanting to use the wrong button still. I just got to practice and keep playing, but it is challenging. But I think the game's doing a good job of like, if you've never played like me, just go through the main story until you start feeling a little bit more comfortable with it. I'm determined. I know Mr. Human reached out to me and was like, hey, you need someone to play with, let me know. And I'm like, I'm so down. And I was like, I suck at it, but I'm going to get great because I want to be
It's fun
good.
to play with people for sure. It's like one of these social kind of games where you're just kind of hunting, hanging out, chatting, it's fun.
And the loot, they already got me.
Yeah,
like the first monster you take down, you get to craft the armor from this big like toad thing. I forgot its name. Their names are funny.
Yeah, they are. They have funny names. That's why I liked playing it mostly for me. I haven't played this new one, but that's what I played World, because like you take down a monster, you get different monster parts for different pieces of armor.
Yeah.
So if you want a full set though, you're gonna have to hunt the same monster like multiple times to get enough materials to like craft more pieces.
Yeah.
And so you're like, I need that tail piece or like whatever,
And certain, armor types will be better in different situations. Cause like I'm going through like looking at the stats and I was like, oh shit, this gets really deep. Like I didn't realize how deep it got and just how much fun it could be trying to make sure you have the right supplies, the right gear equipped to go face this. I don't know, it breathes fire and shoots out poison. You need to have some kind of poison resist armor on. Like,
exactly.
It's cool. And I'm having so much fun playing it, and even I'm just sucking at it. So that's a side. I'm not even great at it yet, and I'm having fun. I chased after the spider in the forest today, and it took me a long time to beat it, but I finally did it, and it felt so good. It's fun. It's pretty much like, it's a little bit of a challenge, and I'm not comparing it to Elden Ring, but let me just be honest. Like, I wish I could play Elden Ring. I just don't have the time to get good at that game.
It's not exactly the same because it's way faster, but I think the comparison comes in because the gameplay, some of the weapons have that kind of heavy animation lock style that like Elden Ring and From Software games use. So I understand the comparison and there's some similarity there. Because especially I play Hammer, so you have to really like almost plan and anticipate where the enemy is going to be because there's so much wind up.
Yeah, you got to learn their attacks.
So much, like you have to learn what they're going to do ahead of time because the hammer, by the time you whack with it, they're already like gone over there. So it's fun.
Scurrying off or either attacking you. So
shout out to Kayla for gifting a sub to Trav Man.
Oh, snap.
Long time listener, Kayla. Thanks for the
sub.
I'm
glad you brought that up because I think we've actually I saw someone. I wish it was.
I'm trying to watch for it.
Someone's got to teach me how to use Twitch. Someone got it. Someone else subscribed to, and
Ampos, 63 subscribed.
Joel, thanks. And then
for 22 months.
Blaster Goblin, I think. Blaster Goblin might have subscribed. I don't care if you. I'm pretty sure you subscribed. So thank you, Blaster Goblin. Thank you so much.
Special shout out.
Special shout out.
I'm glad you're enjoying Monster Hunter. It's cool that you're playing it now while everyone else is. It's a very popular, this franchise only really got super popular in the West with Worlds.
We're playing Wonderstop video now. My bad. That's when I take my eyes off the screen.
People played, Monster Hunter here. There was releases, but it was always like on DS and different things and
yeah.
Stuff. It was very, very popular in Japan, and they really kind of broke into the global market with these recent versions of them.
So I feel like it was like it wasn't Pokemon, but it was a similar experience.
It was a smaller scale. It was a little more zoned, like the levels would be like more small little zones that you have to load into.
And I was telling Audrey
a little bigger.
Because she obviously has gotten really into a lot of anime and watching, but was there a Monster Hunter anime? Because I think that's what got me interested. initially because I played
I don't personally
something on
know, but it
my Game
sounds
Boy
right.
or something like, and I'm just trying to think like I feel like I'm remembering that right. Who knows? But I played some Monster Hunter game on my Game Boy at some point, and I don't remember which one. But this is probably the most invested I've ever been. It's a good time. Yeah, and I'm glad I picked it in our fantasy league. One of the ones I'm in, I picked it. I think it is.
Kayla said, "Isn't there a saxophone weapon?" So there is a weapon that's like it's a horn. Or it's a musical instrument. Depending on, there's different versions of it that look or sound different. Sometimes it sounds like a bagpipe or a saxophone, or like there's different things. It's like a support class. So like as you're using it, it puts music out or whatever, and so you can buff and debuff. You can buff your allies with certain effects and debuff it's like a bard in like some other RPGs.
That makes sense
pretty
now.
Cool.
I was just like, why is there a horn? Like, who's
so that's the thing
here?
That's what's deep about it. There's so many weapons and they have different roles.
Yeah.
So even though they let you do whatever, they let you experiment however you want. And in this one, you can have like kind of multiple weapons ready to go, sort of, which is a little bit newer.
Okay.
And so it's cool when you squad up with people intentionally and you be like, okay, you play a support role, you play, like almost like a tank role, you play more of like a DPS. You can kind of like manage it like that. Yeah. A lot of times people just like to play like whatever, like, like Lucio. Yeah, like Lucio.
Is that from Overwatch? That's an
Overwatch. From Overwatch. You got it. Yeah,
see,
you got it.
I know my video games. Mm-hmm. Well, cool. That's all I've played. I definitely want to play Split Fiction this week. Also, I want to squeeze in some time to do that.
A lot of stuff coming out in March.
Ooh, it is hot.
Stacked.
Yo, like I don't know what I'm gonna do. I want to play everything.
Play Split Fiction with Audrey. Wait, this is the time of the show where you interrupt with Audrey with an annoying question.
Oh, I was gonna ask. Oh, hold on. I do have something. Audrey. She has her AirPods on, so I really gotta yell. Hey, Audrey. She goes, did you say you might download Monster Hunter and play with me? Yeah, she said yeah.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
I love this part of the show. You need to make this a regular segment.
I know. I was just telling her more about it, because she plays a lot of Destiny too. And I'm like, it takes a lot to pull us from it. And I was like, I think, and based on what I was sharing, she's going to download it. So, we'll see if we're both in there hunting monsters and Split Fiction. Yeah, it's going to be a busy week. Okie dokie. Well, I didn't pull up too much news this week, and just to sort of carry on into the Monster Hunter talk, and that actually sort of bleeds into like our main topic today. But like I was going through just to see like how good Monster Hunter was reviewing, and I think it's the Metacritic score is still sitting at a 90, so it is doing great. I think I read that it even had done some pretty big numbers on Steam just to compare it to like the other big games that have, high concurrent players. I can't remember exactly how many were like over the weekend, but it's definitely like in the top 5.
Oh yeah, Monster Hunter is doing great.
Yeah, it's killing it. I really can't speak to like why it is, because like I know I'm really enjoying it, but I haven't even scratched the surface. So you played a little bit of Wilds. So what do you think it is? Why do you think this is so successful?
I think that, like we kind of discussed, it really gained popularity, that last one, and with Worlds, because it was like, oh, it's more open worlds, less like zoned, and it was almost like they're catering a little more to Western tastes, a little bit more like how things are set up. And so I think, it caught on, it became really popular. And then, there was that other one in between. I can't remember the name of it. That was kind of like a Japanese themed one. Yeah. You had that little dog.
Yeah.
I can't remember the name of it. I'm sorry. Everyone's going to be mad at me, all the monster hunters out there. But that one was I mean, it was pretty good. It had some cool mechanics. Like you had this like whip, like Firefly whip you could like go around with. But the scale of it was a little bit different. It was almost like, not necessarily small scale, but I think because it was like on Switch too, it was a little bit maybe pared down.
I didn't realize that. No way.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It was like, but then it came out on like other things too. And
Okay.
so I think with this new one, people are just itching for another like big
Mm-hmm.
budget, like the next installment. Because they had a lot of people in the West, their first one was Worlds.
Okay.
And it's been a while since then. And so it's like now you get to really see like what the iteration on that is. So this is kind of like the latest and greatest, all the improvements. Um, and so I think it's just, it's a popular franchise. I'm glad it's doing well. Um, Always like a good Capcom game when it's good.
I know. Killed it. They killed it. It runs great.
Yeah.
I love it. I'm gonna keep playing it. Which is perfect because, you know, there. I'm not gonna talk about Destiny, but I wasn't found in Destiny, but it's valid for this conversation we're about to have. So,
Yeah, valid.
uh, I want to stay playing Destiny, because I don't want to. Each week there's like a little bit of a story drop. And I'll say with like this last episode, they are leading into, or it will eventually lead into whatever Frontiers is. Destiny Frontiers. We don't know. We don't really have any details on what's next for Destiny. So this one's Heresy, and we're doing, instead of having the Dreadnought, go back to the Dreadnought, old school Destiny 1 fans, you'll remember the Dreadnought. It is like they've created an activity that is on the Dreadnought. It's fun enough. It's challenging enough, but I don't know. Like, I'm still not like itching to get back to it. It's just something I enjoy playing, but I'm not like, not like how I am with Monster Hunter right now. It's just so different. And I think that's, with Destiny, it's just, I don't know. I don't know what it is, but there's not enough new that makes me excited about it anymore. Like super duper. Like the thing that gets me the most excited about Destiny lately is like any new story details with Savathun. I'm all there for that. Or just a dungeon, a raid. Like those are the things I come back to Destiny for.
You're going to need like the next expansion or whatever.
Yeah. And I just don't know. Even if like a Destiny, hopefully it's not Destiny 3. I don't want that to happen long. I need to be able to keep all my shit I've had with Destiny. I don't want it to be a brand new game and I lose everything. But like, yeah, the next big expansion, like the next big, like whatever Frontiers is, it has to be something that really innovates. And I just don't think that's going to happen for Destiny. I don't know. I don't think it will. But yeah, it's gotten, there's enough new stuff, but it's not anything.
Yeah. It's like you jump in, you do it, and that's it.
Yeah. And it's not like, it's just not reinventing anything lately. It's just new little modes and stuff. So I don't know. I don't know what the answer for Destiny is. And we're going to talk a little bit about it today. Like what makes live service games successful. There's a couple of games that come to mind that literally have not left the top in years. And with Monster Hunter and talking about Destiny, for me, like I only have time for one of these games. Like I can't play both and be great and like get all the gear and fight all these baddies. And I gotta have all my friends on. There's a lot of ingredients I need to make this soup taste good. You know what I'm saying? And it's only gonna be one soup.
Yeah, you're making a tea in, Wander Stop.
There we go. We're making tea. Video game tea.
Exactly.
And I don't know, like, unless there's something that you wanted to chime in on, like, I'm down into getting into the main topic.
Yeah, let's get into it. Main topic. Let's go.
And you obviously were so gracious to create some questions for our audience before we get into the nitty gritty.
Yeah, I'll say you came up, you had the idea for the topic. You're like, how about this? And I was like, oh, let me think about it. And then I was like, yeah, you know what? Let's do it.
That's me grabbing the wheel. This was Josh.
Yeah.
With sunglasses on, backwards cap. And he's like, I got you, Jerica. And just took it. So it was great.
Yeah.
So, and I put that at the bottom, but I wanted to go through like, what questions did you ask our friends in our Discord that you should join, Drop In, Drop Out Pod Discord. I think you can find the link in our website also. But this thing's popping off. We got a lot of people that chimed in, and yeah, What are your questions? What did you ask?
So tonight we're talking about live service games. And the definition, different people have definitions of this. I think even I saw someone, I think it was Jonesing Simba, was asking if Monster Hunter even counted as a live service or whatever. I think the definition of either live service or games as a service can be pretty broad. To me, it's essentially any game that's released that is expected to make money over time post release, not just from that one $60 purchase. You're expected to kind of make money over time. And that could either be through in-game monetization, or it could just be like the strategy is to having that continued support so that people will continue to buy the game over time instead of like just sort of in that launch window, essentially.
It's a game that lives and breathes forever and continues to keep selling
and is continued to be supported and et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
But you can include so many things in this. You can include obviously like Roblox, Minecraft. I mean, Monopoly Go on mobile hit $3 billion, so there's all kinds of things you can include. But I think, the kind of vibe we're going for is, even like MMOs kind of count because there's usually either monthly costs or in-game costs.
Subscription.
And Destiny, I think, counts, these kind of games like that. So the questions I asked is, what was the first live service game you really got into? Do you currently have time to play one or multiple of these, which you just kind of talked about? And what type of live service game would you like to see in the future, or how do you think they can evolve? And so we had some good responses, like you said. Cognitive Clips said their first live service game was probably Destiny, actually, which is interesting. And they said, when asked about, if they have time to play multiple, they said, I still occasionally pop into Destiny and Marvel Rivals, but not nearly as much as non-live service games. And then as far as what they want to see in the future, they said they want the actual gameplay and narrative to be the focus. Destiny 2 did this a lot better than Destiny 1, in my opinion, with a campaign mode that felt 5 times more fleshed out and larger expansions that also felt more meaningful on average than Destiny 1. Don't just give me table scraps and promise to throw me more every few weeks. Give me steak first and leave the rest as my dessert. Wow.
Well said.
I think what's interesting, what's so interesting, another thing about live service games, this is getting ahead of the topic a little bit, but since we're talking about this right now, is that they change over time. And sometimes parts of the game are just gone or you can't do again. Because Destiny 2, you can't play the Red War anymore, the original campaign.
It's gone.
So if you bought Destiny 2 day one, there was this full storyline. I played it, I beat it. Just a full storyline. You can't do that anymore. You can't even play it.
You got to make room on the servers. This is a whole sidetrack, but
we should have played that. We should have put that in the news. I know exactly.
I know, that just reminded me. Damn it.
It's okay. You can put it right here.
Because apparently there's some lawsuit going on where, Bungie's being sued because they might have copied some story narrative, like took inspiration for someone's work for something in Destiny. I think I'm getting that right, Josh.
Something like that. Yeah.
And literally nowhere on Bungie servers could they find evidence that they came up with this first. I'm really vaguely summarizing it, where they could prove their innocence because it just wasn't on their systems anymore. And this was
because it had to do with the D2 original launch and like the Red War, and it's gone.
It's
like,
gone.
You can't play anymore.
They don't even have it. Like no one.
They don't have it. So they had to use in court as evidence. They had to use a YouTuber's like.
It was not just a YouTuber, Lore Daddy.
Yeah, he's infamous.
He's the Destiny Lore Daddy.
Yep.
They like put his content like in court.
They had to use it in court because he had the footage. So that's so interesting to me about live service games, where it's like that game that we played, me and you played this game and Cognitive Clips, it doesn't exist anymore.
It's not. It's like it has evolved. Like whatever Destiny was, it's not anymore. And like just to say, like what you sign up for might not be the game that you. It could change anytime, not anytime, but like over the years, there's going to be changes. And, and that part of me is always scared that if I don't hop in to do this thing that's fun, I might miss out. I get FOMO a lot with Destiny.
Oh, I live in FOMO.
we're just drowning in it.
Look, Kayla said, imagine our podcast using court.
I know.
You know what would happen? It would be like, there's like an Oscar Mayer lawsuit, and then they're going to have to pull up clips of like Jerica in the hot dog suit to like show like the texture of the hot dog or
Like,
something.
we have no pictures on our hard drive of the hot dog at the time.
Yeah.
At the time. But they have
Yep.
to use a picture of me.
So thank you, Cognitive Clips, for your contribution there. Coal Mines, active in chat as well as on Discord. They said their first live service game was Rocket League. That's a good one. That's a good call. That's of course still going, and there's a pro tournament going on right now as we speak.
Oh,
I
wow.
watched some of it.
Oh.
Yeah, there's an esports right now going on right now. I sometimes I just watch that kind of stuff. It's interesting. They said currently they pop into one of Black Ops 6 or Rocket League at least once a week. Depends on if they have time or if they want to play any of the single player games. Somehow, I'd like to see more live service games that are geared more towards the casual player and not so much the sweats. I play more live service if 90% of the time some kids are diving around corners and flying through the air that I'm not following the meta. Just let me have fun, man. So this is a good point. And this is for me personally, when it comes up to live service games, like you said, I don't have the time to like really do a lot of the in-game and the meta stuff. And so a lot of times I'm behind as far as like the right gear, or like whatever the game is, skills needed or whatever.
Yeah.
I just like to have a good time, and so that is definitely a barrier for a lot of people. I would say like casual players.
Yep.
Where it's kind of intimidating. Like if I want to jump into Destiny 2 right now, it's a little bit intimidating. There is PvE, makes it less intimidating, but that's definitely a barrier to consider, just like jumping into a game like that.
Yeah, and especially for, I keep using Destiny as an example, but it's the one that I'm playing a lot, and just trying to explain last year when I was trying to take off from work and say, well, it's a 10-year story that's coming to an end. With my friends, and then I'm trying to sort of recap this with some some gamers, but they're not they don't know really much about Destiny at all. Who really does? No one really knows what's going on. I was trying to explain to them.
Lord Daddy knows.
Lord Daddy is the only one.
Yeah.
Honestly, who do you want to tie? Would you like to hop into a story on year 9 out of 10, you're near the end, how do you make that fun for players? And I think Destiny is one of those specifically, it's really hard. You have to sort of be okay with just being sort of out of the loop. And I don't like being out of the loop. That's why it's difficult for me just to hop into a game. Like if you would recommend Final Fantasy 14 to me, and I start playing, I feel like I'm based on my experience with Destiny, I'm like, I don't know if I could even dedicate the time to have a good time.
Yeah, it would take a while and Destiny's like this too, where you can kind of boost to a certain level.
Yeah.
Final Fantasy 14 does that as well, but you kind of miss out on a lot of the story and blah, blah, and you don't have the context when new stuff comes out. So it's tough to jump in.
And just, for example, we'll talk a little bit about this later. I don't have the outline pulled up, but I do want to talk a little bit when we get to when this makes sense, Josh, because I know you have the outline. Let me know when this makes sense. But I loved Helldivers 2 or 3.
Okay, yeah.
I always lose track of what number they're on. The most recent Helldivers game success is just something that literally blew me away. Am I still playing? No. But I'm always interested enough to where, I think the content they initially just out the gate, releasing, not overthinking it, making it a very simple approach where I just need 3 people, 2 other friends to hop in and kill some bugs. And in the story, silly. And I think I don't know who said it, Coal Mines or Simba, one of y'all just said, I just want to hop in and have a good time and have fun. That's what Helldivers was. They didn't have any of those barriers. They did have some cosmetic things you could buy, but it wasn't just pushed in your face to make you think that this was just some kind of cash grab. But they put so much work into explaining to people what this game was, leaning into the narrative to make it fun, and the community support, and just the amount of content they were adding very frequently was just awesome. And I bring up Helldivers because, it was one of the sort of the games that Sony supported with having, on PlayStation first.
Yep.
And looking back at that was oh, this, okay, PlayStation might know what they're doing and like getting all these games situated. Like, oh, like, and I think, Last of Us Part 2 was canceled, or not Part 2, the multiplayer game was canceled at this point.
Correct.
So that was a little bit of and that sucks. But since then, we're looking at, a year later, and PlayStation just fully put the brakes on, We've had all these other games in the pipeline, God of War, live service game. I feel like there was Ben Studio was working on something recently. I took no notes. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm just trying to remember everything from memory. But like to this point now that they're just pumping the brakes on it, which I've talked about this on the show numerous times. Like I'm such a dummy. But even that, when PlayStation said they were going to come out with 10 live service games, like when they said this like 3 years ago, I was like, that is the stupidest thing. It is so stupid. That makes no sense. People don't get a PlayStation for those experiences. Like we are getting them for the big single player games, like for real. But in your definition, it's one game that can continue making money.
Yeah, essentially, yeah. We have one more listener response.
I'm so sorry. I just totally.
But it's not even a listener.
Where?
It's our very own Kayla.
Oh my gosh. Oh yeah. I'm sorry, Kayla. I cut in front of you.
Well, it's okay. Because that was all relevant to what we're talking about. Kayla said their first their first live service game was Call of Duty Black Ops 1.
Okay.
Which counts. And as far as the second question is, do you currently have time to play one or multiple? Kayla says yes, but not ones that involve a grind to upgrade your character. Example, Destiny. I still enjoy playing Fortnite, Overwatch, Apex, Fall Guys. Those are good examples of stuff you can just jump right in. Fortnite changes week to week. It's new every time. So just jump right in. And then as far as the third question, what type of live service game would you like to see in the future, or how do you think they can evolve? Kayla says, I would love a more sim-focused live service game with a fun loop to play with friends. Let me tell you about this game called Roblox. PlayStation Home.
Listen, PlayStation Home looked like it was going to be something really cool. And I don't even remember what the home looked like.
What it is. She said, I thought Palio is going to be this for me, but it's missing something. I think one thing, something like this requires friends that are consistently interested and want to play together. So that's huge, of course. Although Coal Mine said they don't play, they've never played a live service game with people. They just play it solo. So some people play these socially. Some people play these kind of on their own. But the points that you're bringing up, Jerica, I think are all very good points, because tonight we're kind of diving a little bit to the past, present, and future of live service games.
Are you going to bring out a crystal ball like Kayla?
No, I should
it.
have. I have weird things. I mean, I have this teapot. I guess you could like read tea leaves. That's a thing. We could read the tea leaves. I took a sip. So let's just do like a little bit. I think your points kind of open the gate here, which is good, because we've been talking about the Sony stuff for a couple of weeks now. You've talked about it on some other shows, on some drop in, drop out stuff. But real quick, just so the listeners know, so the viewers know, let's look at the past, reminisce for a second. And tell me about your first live service game, if you can remember.
It's got to be the one that I remember playing the most, like being addicted to my first. I always think that's the real kicker. The one that like I stayed committed to giving them money every month was World of Warcraft.
Hey, okay.
I went to BlizzCon that one time. It was good.
Okay.
Yeah.
World of Warcraft. I was big into that.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I couldn't remember.
Launch. I played at launch. What was I? I was a night elf hunter. Night elf hunter at first.
I was a night elf hunter at first, and then I ended up changing Draenei shaman.
Okay. I had switched to blood elf. I switched to blood elf at some point, and then my latest character was a Worgen shaman, which was fun because you could transform into everything. You could be a human, a wolf,
so cool,
a little bear, dude. You know, you could just do all the transformations. I thought that character was fun to play.
That
So
that
what?
game was just revolutionary. Sorry, I didn't
Yeah.
want. It just like
Oh,
it was just so freaking cool. It was like the first game that for real, like I could just. I feel like a lot of the people that were in my clan, I forget what we called the group that you had was like your gaming family.
yeah.
Like those were people that you played every week with, and like that's another part of this ingredient that you need for the perfect tea is having all some you got to have consistent people playing with you.
Yeah, especially in that like raids and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Um, so similarly to you, like I think my first live service games were like MMOs. So actually my first one was probably Fantasy Star Online on the Dreamcast. So this is like have to make sure
Whoa.
my mom's like not on the dial up, like, pick up the line, Mom, I'm trying to play Fantasy
Ah.
Star. Dial up on the Dreamcast modem, Fantasy Star Online. I played with my friend Hatsumi. Shout out. Look, I'm shout out a channel, Spawn Respawn here on Twitch. She streams multiple times a week with her son, Nico. It's a good stream. Check them out. But I played Fantasy Star Online with her. And then shortly after that, I got into Final Fantasy 11 and World of Warcraft. So these were MMO experiences were some of my early live service experiences as well, just like you. World of Warcraft, did you play Burning Crusade when it came out?
Yeah.
Something about this is another thing I love about live service games. And we talked about how in Destiny, you can't play the Destiny 2 campaign anymore.
Yeah.
But sometimes there's something about these limited things that
I
it's a
know.
feeling I'm like trying to chase still, to be honest. Because
Yeah.
even though I'd say like not being able to play the Red War is a disadvantage, sometimes the exclusivity or the one-time nature of events kind of create these really memorable experiences. So I'll never forget Burning Crusade launch because I think these days they shut the servers down and launch expansions or whatever. But
Yeah.
at least for Burning Crusade, there's so much lore behind it because in the Warcraft 1, 2, and 3 games, you learn about the Orcs homeworld and like all this stuff. There's so much lore in Warcraft. And finally, in Burning Crusade, you're going to get to go to their home world because they're not native to that world. And you're going to go see their world. There's so much hype for this first expansion. And you go to the zone where the gate is.
Uh
And there's this huge, giant gate. It's like 100 feet tall in this zone. And before the expansion came out, everyone gathered there,
it's
like
so
on
cool.
outside of the gate, and the gate was like off. And everyone's like waiting at this gate to like activate for the expansion to come out. And the gate turns on and everyone just like rushes through to this whole new world, of World of Warcraft. I'm still chasing that feeling
It's
because there's nothing like it.
it's
And part of it
wild.
is going into something where there's no sweats. Like we're talking about, there's no sweats. You're all at zero. You're going in there. There's no strategy guides. There's no game facts. There's no YouTube videos yet. This thing went live. You're going to this new zone, this new world, and no one knows anything about it.
You're just
You're the
exploring.
first person in
Yeah.
the world to see this, along with all these other people who just went in there with you. Um, Incredible. Okay.
Yeah. It's
Um,
and that's sort of like, it's really hard to recreate that now. I mean, just for technicalities and other things um but some games still try to have those. I think like in-world experiences are just one of the coolest things. Like Destiny tried to do something similar and they had success with like the last big mission being instead of 6 you could have 12 guardians in there to finally destroy the witness, which was a nice surprise. But I was so bummed that there wasn't like a moment where I could be with like just hundreds of guardians like in the tower. Like I was waiting for like
yeah.
a real time event to happen in Destiny. I'm like, surely they'll do an event like this. But yeah, to your point, like those kind of moments like are only, I think that's part of the positive with types
Yeah,
of games like
I
this.
think
Like
so.
it is, you just don't get that kind of experience anymore.
So
It's so
cool.
cool. And it's just like,
So
cause
ever since that really caused me to like chase that feeling. So I tried so many MMOs, like, and I'm not gonna like talk about them all, but like
you
I
should.
was writing a list and was like,
I want to know the list. How
what
many?
do I have here? Lord of the Rings Online, tried that. Elder Scrolls Online, City of Heroes, City of Villains, EverQuest 2, Star Wars Old Republic, Rift, Guild Wars 2, obviously Final Fantasy 11. We talked about that. I currently still do play Final Fantasy 14, but just very sporadically. And oh man, I just that and Final Fantasy has had some moments like that too with the expansions. I think these big MMOs when they have expansions are just so fun. I tried New World a little bit too. I just love I love playing a new online game or MMO. Um, but like we talked about, like I don't have time for the grind. I don't have time to like get sweaty with it and like get all the in-game stuff. And so really I usually just play a little bit of the beginning and like mid-game, and I never really get into like the in-game stuff typically. Uh, but me and you even played Destiny
Yeah.
back in the day, way back in the day. It was on like Xbox 360.
Yeah.
I remember we did Vault of Glass with some of our other mutual friends.
We did. We did it the old school way. No help, really.
Vault of Glass is so fun.
It was awesome.
And so experiencing that like on a console shooter, that WoW MMO style like mechanic of like a raid.
It's with the
for sure it's cool. And I did some raid in Destiny 2 as well. I can't remember which one, one of the early ones. They're so frustrating.
Oryx. One of those. Probably Crota.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very frustrating. And like you almost get angry at each other at some point because if one person messes up, you got to start over.
It is.
But if you can complete it, it is like there's nothing like it. There's
a feeling like even last year, like me and Audrey, there was an event called the Pantheon in Destiny last year. And I think they're going to bring it back, but I'm like, please God, don't bring it back. Because like, I never want to do that again, but I will probably do it. I almost died, Josh. Like I physically have never gamed that hard in my life. Like there was one day we played like every week they would add. So like it was a boss encounter from each raid. Like there was like 4 the first week, and then they would add the next big boss encounter, like the last boss encounter from each raid. And it wasn't just the normal raid. Like it was on contest mode difficulty. Like, so you could literally like you could only be, and thanks to one of our close friends, Connor, like really helped us like tell us like what mods did we need to have, what kind of guns did we need to use for every encounter, and like literally to the mod had to be perfect.
Asking, was that the veggie burger incident?
It was. I immediately think about a veggie burger, and then the power went off the next day. Okay, I'm not gonna tell the whole story here, but like literally we were so close. It was the last week of it. You get the title, the God Killer.
Right. There's a time period that you have to complete this.
Yeah.
So it adds like so much pressure.
So like me and Audrey we have gotten to the last encounter, and we were getting him to be done with it, to say we beat Pantheon. We had the last boss down to like this much health every time. And we found a group of randoms because it was so hard. Like my close Destiny group just couldn't keep doing it. Like some people were just done, and I
had to find
understood.
Some other sweats.
I only kept doing it because Audrey really also wanted to do it.
Wow.
So we found some strangers, and it was more than 12 hours. It was all day.
Well, I believe it.
And just the moment, like, and thanks to Chad, I will never forget this. Like, he actually recommended that we use this particular gun at the same time, and it ended up getting us over the hump, and we killed him. And
so you're hitting like a DPS check and you couldn't get past it.
Yeah, we were just hitting the same amount. We did that for hours, the same, like getting him to this much hours. And it felt, but man, out of any of my gaming moments, like that is one that just like, I've never felt happier. Yeah. And also just destroyed. Yeah. So the next day I ended up throwing up, and the power went out. So I was taking a shower in the dark, and I started crying because I was that just tired.
Every emotion hits you.
I take that back. That was actually
at least the power didn't go out while you were doing it.
Exactly. But I take that back. That was the night before we thought we were not going to be able to do it. That was the night before the 12-hour thing. Okay. So this is when I thought, I'm like, we have spent weeks on this all for nothing. So
did it though? It is. There's nothing like it. Honestly.
There's nothing like it. Sorry, I had to tell the whole story because it's so unique.
Perfect story. And so I think that speaks to kind of some of our history with like, it seems like we're both chasing that high, that dopamine.
It's sick. Right? We probably should go to some kind of therapy for it.
So I think in the present, and we've kind of talked about the present this whole episode really, so we don't really have to talk about this long, but like you're still kind of playing Destiny a little bit, like you mentioned, but there's nothing huge hooking you right now.
I'm not playing anywhere as much as I was.
Yeah. And the same thing with Final Fantasy 14 for me. I'm still not even done with this most recent expansion. Um, I'm kind of chip away at it here and there when I feel like it. But yeah, I'm not really playing it like I normally would. Um, Rabbit said,
I
I'm not going
know.
to tell the whole story. And the Jerica tells the whole story.
I was about to say, like, yes, I know. It's every time. You should know this, but yeah, I'm sorry. But it was such a good story.
No, it's a good story.
I had to tell you.
We got to have
I'm
that
gonna
on
tell my grandkids are gonna hate that story because that's gonna be the one thing that I tell them. Did I tell you about that time
God killer.
I had to become a god killer and I did Pantheon and the veggie burger and I was crying in the shower? Yes, grandmother, you said it. You've told us the story 10 million times. Yeah.
So I think you opened the discussion on this perfectly, talking about the Sony stuff too, like them canceling Concord and them canceling the Last of Us multiplayer. This is what I wanted to bring up. Kind of my main topic when we discuss this is that, and I could be way off base. Chat, you can tell me that, you can correct me, but
they will. Don't they? No hesitation.
Well, now that I've said that, they'll just do it even if they agree with me.
I hope so. It's fun.
But here's the thing. I've been watching you Sony nerds. This is the thing. Drop in, drop out. If anyone else has noticed, disproportionate, okay? They're all Sony ponies around here. That's what Kayla likes to call them that. Bunch of Sony nerds, okay?
I won't hide it.
And you guys get in your sad little Sony bubble over here. And you're like, oh my gosh, they canceled Concord. They canceled
Where's Maury at?
The Last of Us multiplayer. They canceled this. They canceled that. Why did they focus so much on games as a service, live service games? Now they're just going to make, go back to making the single player experiences, whatever. Do you have my chart, Jerica?
I do have your chart.
All right.
Let me put it. I'm gonna put it in this window real quick. So this,
hot off the press today. I have a counter argument to. I'm here to give you Sony bros a reality check. Okay.
That's a bit.
I have a counter argument, and this is purely. Well, we have some data to back it up, but it's my own speculation. Game Over Chilla said, "I love a chart." Me too. This is from today. Matt Piscatella. Many people know who he is, but he is a game
one. I'm just gonna do this real rough.
However you want to do it. I'll just yap about it while you get going.
Hold on.
He's a
Where'd it go?
Game industry analyst who provides like professional data to. We're not going over this in detail. You can check Matt Piscatella's Blue Sky. But what this is a chart of, this is not sales. This is top 15 ranked by weekly active users. Okay. The thing is, there's billion dollar industries, Facebook, Google, all this stuff. The industries are all around your attention, your eyeballs. Okay. Everyone wants your attention. We're in an attention economy. And so, if you take a look at the chart, this is separated by PlayStation, Xbox, and Steam. And this is basically what people are playing. Okay. And so if you look at PlayStation, while yes, we're basically on a gaming podcast. And so the types of games we typically like to play are like, they're like boutique, handcrafted single player experiences. Last of Us, Spider-Man. We like this kind of stuff, right?
That's my favorite games.
If you look at the top 15 of what people are playing, it's almost exclusively games as service games, including like the yearly sports games, which are borderline that at this point because there's a lot of microtransactions in some of them. Although in the PlayStation column, what's that game? High on Life shows up on there. I don't know if that was a free game recently on there.
Maybe
that's that Justin Roiland one.
Yeah, I think so.
So that might.
I think I remember seeing that. Yeah, that doesn't count.
But basically, the top 15 is like.
Look at Destiny still showing up.
Destiny's still on there. Fortnite, Call of Duty, Grand Theft Auto 5, of course, Minecraft, Apex Legends, Rocket League. These are all like pretty old games. Okay. Um, I think it's cool that Avowed made number 4 on Xbox. That's
Yeah,
pretty
big
cool.
deal.
A lot of people playing Avowed, and then over on Steam, you have people playing Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 and Baldur's Gate 3 is number 8. So other than that, it's almost exclusively live service games. And
Boom.
so I
Boom.
think what's interesting is the drop in, drop out, doom and gloom surrounding, you know, the collapse of Sony's live service plans. I don't think that's the case, actually. In fact, if we just look, they have more data than this even. All the people playing on their consoles are playing live service games like all day. But what this chart is telling me is Sony's making actually a ton of money because if you know how these things work, like
Oh
PlayStation
yeah.
Network, if
Getting
people
a
make
chunk of that, right?
microtransactions, yeah, they get like 20 to 30% of that transaction. So to me, it isn't so much that Sony is like so down on live service games. I think you have to separate Sony, the game studio and publisher, from Sony, the hardware platform.
But I don't want to, Josh.
Because Sony, the publisher and game dev studio, has determined that what is the point in spending these years and millions of dollars and having all these teams working on these live service games when we're raking in the Fortnite cash, the Call of Duty cash, the Grand Theft Auto cash, that stuff. They're Sony, the platform, just has to host the games. Other people are spending the money to make them, and they're reaping in the benefits.
They just gotta have be the place that people are
They
doing
just got to be the place. And so I think if Sony, to jump in on the Sony conversation a little bit, I think what people want is, yeah, like, they like the FromSoft games. They like, everyone wants what's that? What's that FromSoft game the kids all want? Bloodborne 2. They want Bloodborne 2, right?
Yeah. I was like Elder Bloodborne.
So they want Bloodborne 2. And everyone wants a Bloodborne 2. If you were to just go on these podcasts or Reddit or wherever, it's going to seem like Bloodborne 2 must be the biggest game of all time. But I guarantee you, when Bloodborne 2 comes out, it would probably crack the top 15 active users for like the first little bit, but it's going to drop off and it's just going to be these Fortnite, Roblox, Marvel Rivals. It'll be back to these games of service. And so you do need those games from a business standpoint, obviously, because yeah, that's attracting like the adults, I suppose. But I think as a platform, the games of service games, and we got the data to show it, the games as a service games reign supreme, really.
But why? Okay, yes, they do. But it's still dumb to put that much money into trying to make that many. PlayStation didn't need to make that many and didn't need to turn every major IP into a live service game. And that's what they were trying to do. But do you think it's like maybe a situation where they were just trying to see how far they could get certain projects? Like maybe they anticipated that all of these were not going to be like come to actual market and do the thing. I don't know. I'm curious your thoughts.
Knowing the behind the scenes of not necessarily this situation, but like if we look at the Anthem and Patrick Soderlund situation, we actually have some insight into that. And that really does make it seem like the joke where like the suits don't know what they're talking about. It kind of like perpetuates that or like confirms it, because he was literally like, his kid saw something cool and like he made them change like the whole design of the game because his like kid saw something. So I think that like everyone always says this, like, well, the suits they just see the bottom line. They see like all the money being made in live service and mobile. And so they tell like, they tell such and such company, like switch everything to that, or they force them to do that. I think it's a little bit of an exaggeration, but also there's probably some truth to it because there's a long lag, of course, because these games are taking longer and longer to make. And so by the time, they're seeing the success of some of these games and they're starting these pre-production, starting these projects, but then 3 to 4 years later, it just becomes like less financially viable because the landscape changed.
Mm-hmm.
Astrobot's winning game of the year now. It's like, but again, I don't think you need to win game of the year to be making that money.
It's not on that list. It's not on the
list. Astrobot is not on that list. What's on there? Fortnite, Roblox.
And of course, I tried to do what you you mentioned earlier, like I play probably at least one round of Fortnite. I never even talk about it, but I probably play
Yeah, I jump
Fortnite
in
at
there
least
all the
once a
time.
week. And it's
Yeah,
fun. Jump in
yeah.
and go. And it's so
I think it's
easy.
it's
There's
it's
no
such a challenging
barriers.
space. I think so. So to kind of bring it all in on the future, I think that uh attention. That's what all these companies are vying for, your attention. And it almost isn't even as much as your immediate dollars anymore, right? Like, yeah, obviously at the end of the day, they want your dollars too, but they're taking a bet that by getting your attention, they're going to get your dollars. That's why a lot of these games are also free to play. Fortnite doesn't cost dollars. You can just play it,
Mm-hmm.
but it's one of the highest grossing games of all time. And so I think you're going to see more of a focus around, I think in the future, you're going to see, I don't think you're going to see, well, obviously, it's easy to say this because Sony basically just pulled all their like big projects. I don't think you'll see as much of these big companies. Even Nintendo tried to crack into it a little bit, right? Within the last few years with partnering with mobile developers, and they had Animal Crossing Pocket Camp, which
Yeah.
shut down. It got shut down actually. And so I think the big Xbox, Sony, Nintendo, I don't think they're going to be as concerned with like the first party live service stuff anymore, because it takes up so much resources and like continued support, and how they're generally structured with their teams in such specific ways. It adds so much complexity. Even though they could make a lot of money, they already are making the money by hosting that stuff on their platforms. And so I think as far as like the live service game space, it's here to stay. Um, I think mobile games will continue to grow. And I think that, we're going to have like, I don't know about a flood, but I think we'll be a little more cautious because everyone tried to copy Fortnite with the closing, the ring, the circle, everything, right? Even
Yeah.
the next Elden Ring game kind of copies that format, but I don't think it's as much about the format of the game as it is kind of the loop.
The loop.
It's more about like the loop. It's
I'm
about the
already doing
loop.
this in this game already. I don't want to do this in another game. That's where my brain goes. Like if
Um,
I was getting so burnt out by seeing like the battle royale like copy paste into different things. Like I think Apex was like the only one that for me versus Fortnite like that actually stuck with me and that was fun to play. And everybody else was
yeah,
probably still playing PUBG or whatever was a similar. I'm
yeah,
sure there's a few others, but like to that point, like if a new version of one of those types of games came out today, like it wouldn't even have my attention on unless like everyone in my friend
and
group, my mother, if she was talking about, I'm like, okay, maybe I should
this is
play
a common
this.
thing that like from chat and from what we've talked about with some of our kind of viewers is that a lot of the people who play it socially, like they want to play whatever their friends are playing. And
Yeah.
so it makes it tough when there's so many games vying for your attention, and like, which one do you play? Because everyone's over here, everyone's over there. It's like the free to play has a little bit lower barrier to entry because it's like right there. Like you don't necessarily have to invest because like Cognitive Clips mentioned this. It's like in his gaming friend circle, people are suggesting a new game to play like constantly, but then they only play for like a week and then they drop off. So
Yeah.
um just jumping in the chat too, Coal Mine said something else you need to consider for the chart. So that single player games only have a certain amount of playtime. 70% of players will put it down when they finish or not finish at all and move to another game or turn to live service while they wait for the next big thing to come out. Yeah,
Ah, really good point.
that's
Mm-hmm.
exactly. I might not have articulated well, but that's kind of what I'm saying. Is that um, the single player games, they're getting your money up front, flash in the pan. These are huge titles that come out. Obviously, they make a ton of money. I mean, Red Dead Redemption, although it does have a multiplayer component, Red Dead Redemption 2 made insane sales for a single player game. And so, yeah, they're getting all that money up front, but the long term attention is kind of where we're at, where that's what people want. They want you to be in their world, in their product. And so, whatever they
They
can
want you
do
to feel
to keep you
FOMO
there.
all the time.
What do you think about the future?
It's bleak.
Bleak. I mean,
It's bleak.
Sorry. What do you think about the future of live service games?
Okay, cool. I don't think I just don't think we have it's been a while since something has caught my attention that has stolen the spotlight away from like the big ones, Fortnite. Like if someone told me, wait, what are the games that have made the most money and constantly have people still play, like Fortnite, I think about CSGO, because I feel like I'm on Steam and that's always at the top. But
Valorant, people still play Valorant.
Valorant, people play League of Legends and like all those games that are just like those titles. I just don't know how many more we can keep adding to the list. I don't know if anything ever takes the world by storm again like that, and it's going to have to be a new thing, a new type of mode, like a new type of loop, which that's what this whole situation puts us in a tough spot, because no one wants to take risk on innovation. I think we're feeling it with movies and TV shows and everything else. Like all these remakes are happening, and
I think for sure
it's just where
this ties back into what we're talking about with like lost records, right?
Yeah.
Like, I kind of want smaller teams to make shorter experiences that, like, we're talking about this AA experience, right?
Yep.
The AAA experience is not sustainable for dev teams. They're chewing up talent, spin them out, hiring people out of college, burning them out, laying them off. This is a bad situation.
Yeah. So I need more like Helldivers size live service games. If I'm going to I need something I can jump in and out, but something that like can be something that's sustainable and like, yeah, it can prevent people from losing their jobs. So hopefully based on the last few years, even though it hasn't gotten better, people start realizing what's a sustainable model and not try to be Fortnite. Like, let's try not to be the next big money maker. But yeah, like, I think you said it well, like expect, PlayStation, the next Naughty Dog game is going to sell bukus. And then everyone should be happy that they're going to play Grand Theft Auto on their box, because like that game's going to take everyone's attention for like the rest of time. So,
that's what's interesting,
if I was any of these studios, I'd be like, what am I going to do to make sure everyone plays Grand Theft Auto on my thing? I almost said on my box, and that sounds dirty.
Well, I know what you meant.
Play on my box.
On PlayStation, on Xbox, on Steam. Even the platforms want your attention, because those microtransactions are going to feed into whatever platform they're on.
And even if it's not like right at launch for Grand Theft Auto, but like I just feel like that game is going to just be something that does historic. It's going to be a historic game in a few ways. And I don't know what it's going to be, but I think it's going to do something that just shakes us all.
Yeah, and chat, they're giving us nightmare scenarios like watching ads in lobbies, and Dan Gutches is the final capitalist frontier in gaming for sure. I think Jerica's right. There needs to be there will be some kind of market correction. You're seeing it now with all these layoffs, all the canceled games, studios restructuring, reclosing. I don't think it's necessarily all because of like live service versus single player experience, but I think just the whole market's different now. Consumer trends, consumer demands, expenses. It's very expensive these days to make a game. As much as we hate to say it, game prices haven't really changed, but the cost has changed astronomically up, just in labor and everything surrounding it. And so, as much as I hate to say it, it's like games really should cost more.
I'm so scared to say it, but I think it all the time.
They should.
I think about
when
how much I go to the movies. When you go to the movies, how much are you spending on a movie ticket?
In 1998, yeah, you're right.
For $50.
1998, when I bought Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time. I'm an Ocarina family, not Ocarina. It was $79.99. And that was in 1997. And so I'm not saying it has to go up that much, but I
think it needs to go up. Like I think
there needs to be more of a range. I think some games should be $40. I know they don't do that because people equate that with like cheapness or something. It's horrible.
But maybe that's a part of the reason why the price hasn't changed. Like I don't want my game to be $30 or $40. That makes it look like a AA game at that point. So I don't know. Why is there so many Marios in the chat?
Jake came in here and just said, "Oh no, he's hot."
Hubba hubba, or just
Hubba,
like hot,
hubba.
hot,
Oh, wait.
hot on a topic.
Oh,
Hot topic.
hold on.
Oh, just wait till he puts on the Final Fantasy
This is
wig.
a Cloud Strife. Yeah, this is just for Jake twitching. This is my Cloud Strife.
Yeah.
Dressing up like Cloud Strife for Jake. Just like your Final Fantasy. I'm totally derailed from talking about live services now, but I enjoyed talking about it with you.
Yeah, it was the future. We don't know what's going to happen. Maybe it won't be bleak. Maybe it'll be full of innovation, really cool video games where people don't lose their jobs. And if anyone puts out a live service game and they charge $70 for it, I'm going to be so mad. Concord should have been free. I don't think that would have saved Concord? It. $70, dude.
Yeah. Shouldn't have done that.
Shouldn't have done that. But they were trying to make up their money because they spent a lot of money on it. But once again, maybe
Ape
that
Escape
doesn't
live service game. That's what Kayla wants. I'd take that. Maybe you could just hang around. You could all be little apes.
Yeah.
Hang around.
Be like, what's the game? That you're running away from some like Freddy Krueger character. Dead by Daylight.
Dead by Daylight. Yeah.
But instead, you're just
all the players. Yeah, that could work. That's a live service. You just create it for them.
PlayStation.
That's the live service game.
Come at me.
Great.
I got it. We don't need a huge team. We don't need the best team. I can be the boss. So that's what this said. In the price of the game can be $20.
I think you can count on me and Jerica to play your live service game and at least give it a shot. I love it. I love jumping into a new world. I like cracking open a loot box here or there. You know, when Overwatch removed loot boxes, I was like, what are you doing?
Once in a while.
I love a loot box. You can clip it, quote me. I love loot boxes. Oh, wait.
There's some that aren't
I'm
great.
Not like Jake. I don't have like things on the button.
Here he goes.
I love a loot box.
He loves it.
What happened to him? It's like some people complain about him or something, but I don't know.
That's sure.
It's
EA, Battlefront, Star Wars.
Dan Goodshow said loot boxes in moderation are a nice little treat.
Correct.
Yeah.
It's a nice treat.
And Kayla does say Overwatch is bringing the loot boxes back. Exactly. They know they messed up. Yeah, I love trying out these live service games. Like we said, this is the recap. We're adults. We don't have a lot of time to play live service games, every live service game. There's like 100 of them out right now. I can only play one or two. And even then, I'm just jumping in for a little bit, couple hours here and there. And that's about it. So I think in this attention economy, you're going to have to make your game stand out. That's what Jericho was saying. And if it costs money, there should be a little more meat to it. If it's free to play, I have pretty low expectations. Infinity Nikki really exceeded my expectations, partly because it was free to play. I think you could actually charge money for that one. And I probably would buy it, although I don't think there's like a ending yet. I think they're still kind of like adding stuff to it, but I think like that's a good example of like even Genshin Impact, right? It's a fun game. It's got good gameplay. And you know, the microtransactions kind of don't really matter that much, but you know, it is what it is.
The game just needs to be fun, easy to hop in, and it shouldn't feel like it's trying to make me a gambler or it shouldn't feel
if it's too
pushy.
Much like a casino, and a lot of the mobile games are like that.
Popping up in my face.
I still sometimes
spin the wheel.
I sometimes even like
There's
a good
spinning
mobile
wheels
game
in the games, but
I like some of these mobile games too, but I can only take so much. You know, I don't like to play those long term.
Yeah.
But yeah, thanks for having me on for this discussion.
Yeah, I can't wait to see what happens. And when the next big thing happens, Josh, maybe we return to talk about, maybe we be the combo that talks about the live service updates. Maybe we can call these little segments live service updates.
Yeah. Next time we play something.
Beep, beep, beep. Yeah. Yeah. Well, Josh, thanks for joining, filling in the seat.
Yeah, my first co-host. I've been a guest, but this is my first co-host.
I should add that to the back of your sweatshirt or your jacket, co-host.
Wow.
Yeah.
I have a cloud strife hair on me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, look.
All right. If anyone wanted to find you, where could they go?
Oh boy, here we go.
Because they might want to come look you up and see.
This is
like
complicated. So
some people liked how you looked. Maybe they just want to see more.
We talked about Wanderstop a little bit because I own a tea company, a tea farm, tea company. We grow tea, we make tea, we blend tea. I have a project that I've been working on since October called High Score Weekly. I used to stream here on Twitch really 3 nights a week way back when, like 10 years ago. Stopped doing that for a while. I'm trying to get back into it a little bit. But my project High Score Weekly is more about video game music. That's why it's called High Score Weekly. It's play on words. And so really, if you want to get in on this is ground floor. Okay. I've been working on it since October, but it's kind of soft launch and I overcomplicate things and I'm a perfectionist. So, hey, there you go. But coming up soon, there'll be more content. You can go to highscoreweekly.com. Actually, makes it easy. You can follow socials there. Still setting up some stuff. I'm making a lot of things. But if you like video game music, please find me, highscoreweekly.com. It's actually High Score Weekly on every platform. So it's Twitch, Blue Sky, blah, 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 TikTok, all that stuff. And I will be doing some collabs with myself, my tea and candy company. So unannounced, but I'm talking about it here. And so there's a bunch of stuff I got working on. And I'm sure the next time on here, I might have a little more to show for it because that's part of why I had to like redo this whole set is because I'm kind of actively making content for it, but a lot of it's just not out yet. Pretty soon on Twitch, I'll be doing some video game music reactions, meaning there'll be shows where it's probably going to be Wednesday nights, but you can submit a video game soundtrack or song for me to like listen to and talk about, discuss. And so, yeah, that's going to be some of that.
I'm so excited to see what this turns into, Josh, because based on what you've told me, it's such a good idea and I can't wait. Y'all, go follow him. We got it hot off the press. We have a big announcement. Something's coming from High Score Weekly. My lips are extra chaps. I'm sorry. So you should go follow him so you know what those things are. Thank you so much, Josh. This was an excellent discussion. We'll do it again sometime really soon.
Yes,
Chat.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being great. No, you can't have his social. No. Josh, is your feet on Wiki Feet.
No, but I've thought about it.
I thought about putting my own on there. Maybe I have.
Yeah, like, why not? I no judgment, honestly.
I'm proud of my feet. I got the perfect toes, like my big toe is like the longest one. And it's like stairs. I remember seeing a picture where that said something about my ancestry and I don't remember, but it seemed cool. Yeah. All right, y'all. It's been a good show. See y'all next time.
Bye.
Bye. Goodbye.